Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. And this is their podcast, Couples Synergy.
Welcome back to another episode of Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean. And this is our podcast about love, marriage, and relationships.
Be sure to check us out online on our Facebook page and Instagram at Couple Synergy or our website, couplesynergy.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast or send us any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear more about. And now on to Couple Synergy, an in-depth look at love, marriage, and relationships, where we bring you our experience helping thousands of couples transform their relationships for nearly 20 years.
You know, every day we get to hear intimate details about a couple's celebrations, disappointments, and everyday challenges. We've often wished these stories were shared because we know we are more similar than different. So we've created not only an avenue where you can hear about people's personal lives, but an atmosphere where people come over to our home pub, pour a drink, and share their stories.
People like today's guests, Vanessa and Isabel. Thank you so much for being on our podcast today.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's pretty exciting. This is actually, we typically do strictly like business podcasts. So this is one that's more focused on our relationship as well. So that's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you guys got a great story, and we're going to dive right into that. And if you guys can tell us a little bit about yourselves, how old are you, and what do you do for a living, and how long have you been together?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm 31. I know I look like 20, probably. I'm 31. Actually, I'll be 32 July 16th. And as far as, you know, what I do, we run our own business together now. Prior to that, you know, I was a bartender and server at a restaurant. I also did, I was certified for a life transformation coach. I went to college, played basketball there. That was like my life, for high school. College, and then I realized I had to do something different. So that's where entrepreneurship really came in, and then we connected. So that's a little bit about, my background.
Yeah. So I'm 30. Woo woo. I'm 30, which is cool, I guess. So I went to school for architecture, got my degree in that, but I didn't feel like it was enough, I always knew that I wanted to create something bigger and amazing, and I love traveling. I love it so much. So it's going to tie into our story, but anyways, I left architecture school. I graduated. I was working at a firm, left it. We met. We ended up taking a trip to Asia, right? Just for a month. We both quit our jobs. We were like, let's do this. Why not? Anyways, we got it. We got an amazing deal on flight. So we're like, yes, it's meant to be. So we ended up going. And then when we approached towards the end of the trip, what ended up happening is we actually intentionally missed our flight. We're like, what are we going to go back for? Our parents already know that we're crazy. Why not? So we intentionally missed our flight back home. We stayed in Thailand, Chiang Mai, Thailand, and that became our home for the next 2 years. And within those 2 years, we built our business, we built the foundation, we expanded our team. It was just like a remarkable process. And not only that, Chiang Mai, it feels more like home, for sure. It's like an incredible, amazing place.
Can you tell us the story of how you guys met?
Yeah, so in June 25th, 16?
Yeah.
2016, we met. We met through Tinder, right? So online dating app, right? Where it's a funny story because that was my first time. I was always against that, right? So my friends, when we were working, bartending, serving, they were all talking about it and stuff. And I was always kind of like, why? I always thought that I would meet the person that I would be with, in the physical, it's just going to magically happen and we're going to meet, right? So I kept hearing different stories and just the way that people kind of talked about it, I was like, and then some people had great stories as well. So I remember one day I was like, okay, let me try this thing out, let me try it out. So I remember just downloading it and literally probably like shortly after, you know, we met. So, which was really, really crazy. And then I deleted it. So we met on that. And I think you had a similar experience as well, where you didn't really use it.
Like, I was just like, this is so stupid. Like, why did I download this app? You know, and then I'm cleaning out my phone and I'm like going through it and I'm like, let me just go in it for like random, you know, I was about to delete it and then I see her, then I swipe right, we swiped right, and you know.
Yeah, we started,
now we're here.
Yeah, we started talking a little bit and then we finally met.
Yeah.
We met because we were both in South Florida when we met, so we were pretty close in location, and so we met, and literally that day, like, you know, I knew that was the person, you know, that I was looking for and that I was going to be, you know, just with for the rest of my life. So I remember even saying it, and I've never said it before, so it was really, really awesome how it happened.
We hear that all the time.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, in my instance of like, it's like not how, sometimes we have to allow things to happen, and it's not usually the way we may think it might be, you know, but being open to new things, being open to try different things. I feel really like, yeah, I feel like we manifested each other and God really brought us together.
Sure.
So each of you were the first person that you met on Tinder?
No. She was the second person I met.
Okay.
So one person I remember the first time, like I downloaded it, I actually met somebody like from that. It was like really quick. And then that didn't work out. So I actually deleted the app, right? I deleted the app, and then maybe a couple weeks after, somebody said another story. So I was like, let me try one more time. And that's when, like, instantly, that second time, the second person, that's when I met you. I don't know about you, but maybe she's already, maybe she had like hundreds. I don't know.
Where'd you guys go on your first date?
You know, I hate it, but you know, it's so silly. Anyways, I was with a friend in Fort Lauderdale, downtown Fort Lauderdale, and then there's this bar place. It's called Duffy's, right? Anyways, so I was like, with my friend Jonathan, I was like, hey Jonathan, it's happening right now. Like, where can we go? Like, it has to be a place with like a lot of people, and like, it just has to be right? Because I didn't want it to be awkward, you know, like that, like too intimate, but too much. I wanted it to be like, hey, laid back, no big deal, it's Duffy's. Anyways.
Well, I think I caught you off guard.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, like, we were talking, you know, through text or whatever, and I was with my mom, like, in a happy hour in, like, Taco Tuesday or something in Delray, and we were texting, and then all of a sudden, you know, we're just texting about different things, and then she was like, oh, I wish I was there, I wish whatever, and I was like, well, you know, I'll come meet you, like, where are you? And so she didn't think I was going to respond like that, and I was just being direct. And then I think that's why she was like, oh my God, where are you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
And then like, and when we ended up going to Duffy's, we met up, and then she walks in, and I was like, like, she actually looks like her pictures, like she's not some like catfish person, like she's actually legit. So now I'm even more nervous, okay? So I'm like, Jonathan, help me out. And then it was just really nice, because what ended up happening was like, she's even better in person, you know? And then she got to meet my friends, and then from there I was like, all right, bye Jonathan, thanks. And then
we left and went to like another lounge, and we were out dancing until like 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Yeah, it was
like
amazing.
What was it about each other that you fell in love with?
Instantly, it was her voice, like on the phone. Like, I was like, what? Yes. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, where are you? You know, it's that instant, because like, it's different talking to someone on text, you know? You don't see their emotions, you can't hear them, you can't feel them. And then once you hear that person's voice, I feel like it really connects to a deeper part of you in some way or some other level, you know? But then when you actually see them, it's like, oh my God, everything matches. It all makes sense. So It's like a dream coming into reality. At least for me.
No, same. You know, the same. So like, I feel like we both dated in the past, right? And you find out more of what you like, what you don't like, and what you want, you know? And what I realize is like, of course, I was more clear on who I wanted to be with and what was a necessity. Like that person had big goals, big dreams. They had like for me, right? Because I knew that's where I was going and it had to really connect, and smile, laugh, personality was, main things that I was always looking for. And of course the connection, instantly connection. So it's hard to see, but when like one of the things, of course, her voice as well, because I remember picking up the phone, I was like, it was your voice as well. Then we met, and just like instantly, it's not really, you can't explain it. No. It's just like everything was just like, yes, this is the person, and the vibe and the connection and everything was just like, it was just like I knew, at least I think it was for both of us. It just happened like we knew. For sure.
So how long after meeting did you guys go and spend years in Thailand?
Take a wild guess. Y'all
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
No.
What about you?
I would say, about 3. I would say 3 months. Let's go with that.
Okay.
3 months.
Well, we did book the flight 3 months after.
Oh,
nice.
We booked the flight 3 months after. She was actually living in her parents' home, and I was living with my mom at that time. So we were kind of like, just driving and doing that whole thing for that. And then we booked the flight, and then 6 months later was when we left.
See, we hear that a lot where people say that I knew, in that moment. And usually those relationships, they go really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So that doesn't surprise us that, 3 months after you guys are jet setting off, to another country. And now when you say Asia, are you talking about the whole continent, or you were, okay, wow, you guys were just going all over the place then?
Yeah, we left I was working that restaurant job at that point. And I know she loves traveling and I do too. So we're like, let's just take a month trip around, So I gave like a month notice of like, I'm going to be this month off. And then I think she ended up quitting at her firm.
I said, I'll see you guys later. And later became forever.
So we went around. We already planned like the trips, the plane, like all through Asia. So we went to like Singapore, Tokyo, Bali. We went to Thailand, a few places in Thailand.
Yeah.
We kind of went, because all the flights in there are kind of like cheap around, like they're like $20, $30 flights. And at that point, we only had a certain amount like saved. Like when we made the decision 3 months, we're like, okay, let's save for this amount for the month trip.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we were saving towards for our trip.
Were you guys living together at the time?
No. We were living both at our own, like her parents' house, and I was living at mine.
Okay.
So what did your family think about that? Both of your families?
Love it.
My mom's actually here, so we're visiting my mom.
Oh, hi, Mom.
She wants to say something.
Sure.
Okay, so she's going to come in here.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm Marsa Black, and I have to say one simple thing that I am so happy that these two beautiful ladies, my daughter and Isabel, they found the love, and I see it every day, how together work as a team, as a companion. I say, I'm jealous in a good way, because it's so hard to find the really right person. And I see them every day, how they work as a team and how organized and the respect they have. So I give a hurrah for them. And every day I'm like, yes, you got it, and here I am.
That's beautiful.
I love them.
That's really beautiful.
And my teeth are kind of rolling. Because this is the truth. And thank you, Isabel. Thank you, Vanessa. And thank you guys for having these two magnificent women. You don't look like this, okay? So I'll let you continue your interview. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
Stay listening.
Ciao.
Ciao.
So
Ciao,
can we get into a little bit of the politics, PC, whatever that is? So you're our first couple that we've interviewed that are two females. We've interviewed males before, but we've asked plenty and they've all said no. So we're really excited to hear your guys' journey and your experience and how you navigate this world. And so, like, I don't want to something incorrect. You know, is gay the right word? Is lesbian the right word? I don't know. What is it?
I don't. I mean, we don't know. Like, we don't know. We don't get offended by a lot of the things. You know, I don't know. Like, we're not about the whole politically correct people. I know there's a lot of people out there, like, and different things, like with all that's going on right now, you know. Sometimes we even have to ask, like
what does that mean?
You know, like, so we're not the best to give advice for that.
We're pretty much the worst.
The worst.
Yeah, we've heard from the guys that there are a ton of labels in the gay community.
Well, I mean, what
There's
we
so
see,
many.
I think we don't know because we don't really see labels like in anything. And
That's awesome.
We don't go by labels. So, I mean, we see like spirits, souls, and so I know you're in alignment with that. So, like, to me, that's what I see. So that's what I can express.
Can you guys talk about your journey of how you discovered
that you were gay?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't even know. I don't know. I never was like, I am. No, I never like said it like that.
Did you guys ever date guys?
Oh yeah. But at least for me, it was like, I love the guy. Love him to death. But I can't see myself like taking that next step of like, oh, let's move in together. Let's, make a family. Like, no, like it just stopped at let's go to the movies, because I just knew it didn't feel right, At least that's my journey.
Yeah, for me, I had I think 2 boyfriends, and then later on in college, I played basketball, so there's a lot of gay like women in college basketball and high school basketball, like everybody, right? But in high school, I remember like high school was like a thing where it was like new, it was like kind of like cool. People were like, yeah, whatever, and I was always like, that's weird, like to me at that point. But then in college, just being around, I started to have feelings for being, like, I didn't look at the gender. I think as society and in the environment that it was like okay, it wasn't like totally against it. Then I was like, oh, okay, and I just allowed my feelings to feel whatever it may be, So I didn't really look at gender or whatever at that point. Of course, there's been a process of like in the beginning, I wasn't as like open or confident about it. In the beginning, of course, a lot of times, sometimes your parents could have expectations and they have a picture of who you're going to marry, what it's going to be like, so for me, I remember, you saw my mom now, but in the beginning, right, in the first 2 weeks when she first found out, like I was with somebody and she saw a text message, right? Moms know everything, right? And she was like, she said, I saw this text message. Her name was Jen. She was actually my assistant coach for my basketball in college, my basketball team. And she was staying at our house like every day, but we always had friends over. So I think my mom knew, but she approached me and she was like, well, what is this text message I saw that it popped up and said? I was like, she's like, are you with her? And I was like, no, like I denied it. And I said, no, I'm not. And then like 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, she called me into the room again, and I was living in the house, right? And she asked me, and I was like, this time I was like, yes, right? And so she was upset. She's like, don't have her stay over, again, whatever, all of that. And I think a week later, she apologized, and she's like, I just want you to be happy, and whatever it is, she realized like in that moment that if it was her picture in her head and that she was going to lose me if, we didn't stay. So you see her now today, right? But of course, in the beginning, it wasn't like that for me, and then when she realized that really helped, because now you have the acceptance of, people that you love most, you care about most, and that's a really big deal, so.
Yeah. Obviously we were detecting an accent, with your mom.
Yeah.
What is your ethnic background, and did that play a part in kind of coming out and, meeting cultural expectations or if, in that area? What do you think?
Great question.
Yeah. My mom's from Mexico. My dad's American. My dad, he doesn't really say anything. He's just kind of like, there. And then, so it was tougher with Isabel's family.
Yeah.
So she's Spanish as well, and you can share that.
So my parents are from Venezuela. I am too. And then both of my parents are very like Christian, like they're like church, Bible study on Wednesdays, church every Sunday, nothing fails, like, right? Mm-hmm. So here I am, I'm like, y'all, I'm not gonna do what you guys need me to do. And every time we go to my aunt's house, every time we go to a family reunion or whatever, they're always asking like, so like, what's up? Do you have a boyfriend? Do you have this? And they've met some of like the boyfriends that I've had. So it's like, okay, cool. So what's next? And it was mostly like, no, like I'm not committing to anything. But then I remember it was like I had a girlfriend before Vanessa, right? And I told my mom, I was like, hey mom, I need to sit down with you. Like I think it was more like she came from her lunch break, I was at home, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna make some food, I'm just gonna lay it down, and then like it's a very short minute, like an hour break, let's make it happen. So I did, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, like just being real, like, hey mom, like I'm not gonna marry a dude. That's not gonna happen. And I just want to be straight up with you. Like I love you, I respect you, and I wanted to be clear with you. And that led to like maybe this whole entire thing of like her not understanding what the heck she did wrong, and then, or my parents did wrong, because they weren't expecting that. But at the same time, it was more like it took them more time to understand. But let me tell you this, when they met Vanessa, a lot of things just stopped. I don't know if it was the 2 years that we were gone in Asia, that helped us become more mature and like just bond stronger. And they saw that. But I think it was like how she presented herself. Because I think if you come into a space where it's like guarded already, I'm against it. And then you come in as like, this is who I am and nobody's going to stop me. You're not going to get anywhere. Vanessa is like, hey, this is me. I love your daughter. Thanks for doing all of that. But, I'm committed.
Well, yeah, I remember I went to their house for, was it Christmas or?
I don't even know.
It was the first time. It was like a holiday, like Christmas or New Year's, and they don't really invite too many like outside people to their, their family gatherings. And so she invited me, and I went there, and they kind of knew. But after dinner, her dad's like, "Can I speak with you?"
He does the whole like. Let's sit down.
So her dad sat me down, and then Isabel was down, and he was just talking to me of like, basically like, this is not gonna happen, like the whole God spiel, right? Where I'm like, I'm in love with Jesus, like I don't know anybody, but I believe in God, whatever, So I think the way that I was just listening to him, and I was like, I totally understand where you're coming from. I wasn't fighting against him, right? Because at that time I was wiser than that, right? So just listening to him and being like, cool. And then throughout time, like she mentioned, I think just like continuing to show up, them seeing us, the success we're having, I think whatever picture that they had in their head, one of the things was that obviously everything's going amazing, and they feel like they're like, the picture is right. It might not just be exactly how they saw it, but it's like, wow, you're doing great. That could have been a fear of like, all of that, or what it might look like. And, I see those things kept breaking, and now, everything is fine. So
you guys have been together for like 4 years?
Yes. Thank you. So June 25th is going to be our 4th year.
Oh, awesome. Congratulations. So how do you guys see the future going?
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
Would
Like,
you do
raise, like,
things like
first
get
child.
married? Are you thinking of having children?
Yeah, all the above. Like, I feel like we're already living like we're married. We just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Probably we're so busy, like, doing all this stuff. I don't know. But yes on the marriage, and yes on the kids. So we've already, like, spoken about that as well.
Have you thought about who is asking who, or are you both asking, like in the engagement story?
Yeah.
We've talked about that, and she said she wants to ask. So I'm just waiting for her, you know?
Yeah.
That's yeah. We'll have to, connect back with you guys after the engagement. That'll be fun.
See that
That'll
story.
be a fun story.
No pressure.
And what are your thoughts about how you're going to have children?
Yeah. What's crazy was, like, when I was, like, around 21 or 22, I researched all of it. How much is it going to cost? How much time does it take? What are my requirements to actually become this? Because it's not like an accident. Like, we can't get, oops, we're pregnant. It's not going to be one of those. It's more like, let's plan this thing out and let's make it work. And, like, things have evolved since I was 21 till now. And I'm so excited because now it's a lot more tangible, a lot more accessible. And back then I was like, how the heck am I going to, like, get this done? But now I think once you find that right person, all the answers were actually with her that I was freaking out about,
Would you both carry a baby, or would one of you?
How?
Like, how explain? She knows more how to explain the way.
It's basically, so she has eggs, I have eggs. There's going to be a sperm in there, right? We get to choose the background, all the genetical things. There's, like, intense stuff. If you ever donated sperm, whoever's listening on the podcast, there's a lot to it. You might go in there, do your thing, you get paid, and that's it. But it's not a guarantee that will actually qualify to the people that can actually pay for it. There's different tiers to sperm. It's a whole.
I think you can actually look at the person. You can look at it. Like, we have actually a client that's actually, she's married and she has 2 beautiful kids, and we were talking to her to find out more. Like, we didn't know the right way to ask, so we're like, but it ended up happening, and she was talking about it. She's like, yeah, I have somebody good in the U.S. She's from the UK. In the U.S., if you need that confirmation, she was explaining. She's like, yeah, and one of her sons, she's like, that's not what we ordered, but it came out like that.
The kid came out really odd.
Like, because you can see, like, the person of, like, this hair, you can kind of match it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's. So, I imagine there's no return policy.
No.
I guess not.
So also, I mean, I think about it a lot when it comes to, okay, same-sex couples, or even like you guys, that you guys can just do your thing, and then it could happen, and then it's like, that's interesting. But there's so many people in the world right now that are just doing that thing for pleasure, and then all of a sudden this little baby comes out. And how do you actually take care of it? How do you actually manage that? How do you actually, like, foresee the life of that kid? So I feel like I love the fact that we're same-sex, like, we're gonna produce this thing. Like, it's a goal, and it's also like,
it's like, okay, we need to make more money,
Yes.
It's not just like, okay, let's do it.
We're not setting just him or her for success. We're setting that person up for, like, lifetime success. So it's a more thought process, logical judgment. Like, I'm not doing it as an emotional thing. I'm doing it as, like, okay, let's make something amazing happen.
Very conscious.
Yes. And not a lot of people are actually taking those steps to fundamentally research how much does a kid cost. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was expensive. I know for that. Just my mouth alone was, like, a lot for braces and stuff.
Right.
And sorry, go ahead.
You're just saying, so that because it's so planned, right, you have to take a look at your entire lives together, your career,
Absolutely.
How much money it takes, and kind of plan all those steps ahead versus, a couple that is just winging it.
Yeah, and it's not horrible, because I probably wouldn't be here if it was planned. You know, there's a lot of people that are alive now that wouldn't be here if you had a.
And they're the most beautiful people in the world.
So, but it's just cool in our perspective of, and also seeing everything that's going on, that it is important to be conscious and be able to not only just provide with money, but more being emotionally there to be able to provide there as well. So I feel like, if also to your caring question, I probably will be the first to carry. I don't know if you are, but yeah,
I'll see how it goes.
She's on the test. On the test, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just saying, there's going to be a lot of COVID babies. Just saying.
Right.
Okay. You know what I'm saying?
The quarantinis.
So, yeah, the quarantinis. So there's a lot of quarantinis. Just saying. Anyways.
What do you think you would have your child call you?
Call us?
Mm-hmm.
Mommy.
Yeah,
mom.
My brother, he's gay, they have a son, and Noah calls them dad and daddy.
Oh, cool.
Just to have that
That's
distinction.
Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
You'd be like, Mommy, we're both be like, what?
I think
yeah, we'll have to check back with you guys a few years from now and see how it's all going.
Yeah,
we'll figure
the kid will figure out something.
Yeah, for sure.
So, being business partners and also partners, how does that work? How do you guys? I mean, we know a little bit about that, running a business together, several businesses, and then, also being in a relationship. So, how have you guys, found that to be navigating both?
I think I love it, right? Like, I wouldn't have it any other way, because I think it's important, for that support, that encouragement, especially like, I know I get obsessed over something like a goal or whatever. So if like I didn't have Isabel, like we're both going towards the same goal, it's very difficult, because then it would probably be very isolated. It wouldn't even work out with somebody that I wasn't in business with or going in the same direction. I know that for a fact, because I get so laser focused, obsessed, and I feel like I don't know if you always thought like that.
No.
At all. But no. I mean, in the beginning, actually, when we went to Asia for the first probably a month, 2 months, it was the toughest for us.
For sure.
Like it wasn't like it is now. It actually was. When we left and we started those first 2 months, it was like the storm 2 months, because we were, I think, both figuring out and getting in alignment. It was just like,
we've never lived with someone else. We were in a place where nobody spoke English. We also had no money, by the way.
But it was also more deeper than that. It wasn't just
But then I think it was more about the independence, because we're both very independent people. Okay, so I always thought that I could provide in the same way that I've been providing for myself, because like since I was 9, I've been working, So I'm like, okay, I have to figure something out to make sure that this like amazing person that I love so much can be happy, And I put all that pressure on me, thinking that could justify my love for that person, for her, but it wasn't like that. Like it had to be hammered in. And it had to be in that situation where we didn't have the comfort of our home, our parents, our friend, nothing like that. That I had to really dive deeper within myself and understand that we're in this together. Like it's a team partnership. Like, what do you want? Oh, okay, cool. Okay, let's make that happen. Let's work around that, And I think another thing is like understanding her strengths. It's been 4 years now, but at the beginning, I didn't even know my strengths, And playing on strengths allows you both to not only go faster, but more efficient, like so efficient. It was after the first year of that entire craziness that we're like, okay, we're actually making a vehicle here. Okay, cool. So like, let's put some gas in it. All right. And then once that was built and actually put together, we're just going really fast now.
Yeah, because I can't do what her strengths are or my weaknesses, right? And so we kind of play off, where in the beginning I feel like it was just butting heads of like, thinking we have to do it all, or was it once we got on the same page and in alignment with those little things and bigger things. And then I feel like she can trust me more. It was like, okay, yeah, she does know what she's talking about in these specific things. And then I could do that with her.
Yeah. And I feel, just going back to like the whole baby thing about planning, this is also, I feel like, a huge prerequisite before you get married with someone. Like, get dropped off in a place that nobody speaks English and you only have $20. What will you do for lunch, breakfast, dinner, and the next day? What will you do? You know, how resourceful can you be? How innovative can you be? How creative can you get?
Together,
how can you hold that stress together and not break?
And you can't run away.
Woo!
Right?
You cannot run away.
So you couldn't, it wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna, because that happened a couple, like, this is, you know, like, this is not gonna work. But like, where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna fly to? Like,
it was like, you open the door and it's like,
like, we didn't have the money. Like, I couldn't take a flight, you know, like, you know, whatever it is, you can't run. Like, it's easier to run in specific places of like, okay, I'm just gonna go to my parents' house and I'm not gonna, whatever. Right. So those things also kept us working, like working the tough spots and working it then, not waiting. Like a lot of people like don't want to work it out. Those things were really powerful and we're on the same page. And now it's just like it's just like really incredible.
And this was all happening starting in 2016, right?
Yeah.
You know, what's really interesting is in 2016, Jean and I went on a 20-day hike in Yosemite, right?
In California, in the mountains.
On the John Muir Trail. And so we started in Yosemite and we hiked 180 miles, you know, south of Yosemite, 20 days with carrying everything on our backs, 10 mountain passes, you know, and...
Can't run away.
You can't run away.
No,
right?
You cannot.
And, you know, you have to come to depend on your partner and play off of each other's strengths and navigate around each other's weaknesses, you know, and learning to kind of work together in potentially a life and death kind of situation, right? It really helps you get to know yourself. It also helps, you know, you to get to know your partner really well and be able to work together seamlessly. And it sounds very much like that's what the two of you kind of, you know, went through.
Yeah, that digging deep. And, you know, we were just talking about this last night because our employees a lot of them are going through some tough times right now. And we were like, could you imagine if like you were running the business by yourself, either one of us, and you come home and your partner has no idea of what's really going on in your life. And you're having all that stress alone and all the celebrations alone. And with our company, our kids worked for us. I mean, it really was a whole family. Our youngest son was 4 when we started the company, and he came to work with us every day. And so our whole family shares in and knows about our business, and our daughter-in-law still works for us. And it's really awesome. And it's that strength and weaknesses and all of it. And, you know, you can't just undo it. You know what I mean? Like your relationship is your entire life. And it's something to really think about when you're going through the tough stuff is, am I going to really put a bomb in my life and blow up everything? Or are we going to work through this?
Yeah, and I think that foundation has to be there as well. Like when you know, because like, you know, there's been relationships where I knew that wasn't the person and it was like all of this going on and I'm not going to adjust, you know, I'm not going to go do that work probably, you know, you're not willing to go do that work. But when you know, that's what it was like. I knew, you know, so yes, let's do the work. And if you're not willing to do the work, then okay, then that's no. But like, you know, we both came together willing to do the work, willing to compromise and see where we're going. And I think it's so important to even, when you also have big goals together, if you guys don't have, it doesn't have to be the specific, of course there's personal goals that you each can have, but if there's not a specific vision of where, then it's very hard for somebody to come and be together and move like, you know, you can, you know? So I think that's really, really important is being on the same page of like that. What's the ultimate goal? What's the ultimate mission and the vision?
Can you guys talk about that? How did you birth your company and what's the vision?
Yeah, absolutely. So the birth of it came from us being in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So throughout that time, we didn't have, she has incredible skill sets when it comes to different skill sets. Right. So she's a genius when it comes to, tech, also the computer, but also taking an idea and being able to put it online and everything, which is unbelievable. I don't know how to do. I'm learning. Right. Well, go ahead. I feel like.
Yeah. But like, she knows how to talk to people. Okay. Give me an idea. I'll make it for you. Make it literally like it'll work online.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But then like she knows how to like really sell, so what we were doing in Asia when we first started, we literally went to the markets and we used our phone and we took pictures of things. I created a website and we started just hammering all of our friends and family, like, you want some sandals? You want some shirts? You want some bags? We got you. What you want? You want 2 for 1? Okay, let's make it happen.
Because we didn't have any money. We ran out. So in order for us to like stay where we made that decision, like we didn't have the money to go back. We had to make something happen. And we were able to do that without having actually money because of the photos.
Yeah.
And then the website. So they can order, let's say we got like 5 orders of this specific things and 2 orders of that. We can run to the market and then go pick them up and then deliver them.
Yeah, we became friends with the entire people there. Like, we know when that lady was going to make that bag and, when that shipment came in, like we had the logistics down, right? But that wouldn't have been possible if she didn't come in with her skill sets for like 5 years. She was an MLM, right? And then she just mastered. She was like shadowing like the top earners. Actually today, the top earner in MLM right now was her teacher.
Yeah,
right?
he's making like $1 million a month right now.
It's crazy.
But like everything that was learned there, and then her being able to put it online and us combining, we were able to like survive. So we made like $1,000 off of that. And we're like, we have like 2 months left, right? Because it's very inexpensive over there. It's like $300 to live there, and we are like sharing our omelet. Some nights we had to sleep in a hammock when we like lost the money or like we didn't have any more money. So like we were doing that, and we're like, we got to do something else because like we ran out of family and friends, right, to purchase stuff.
Yeah.
So we're like, we had to do something else, and we ran into she started creating websites for now because she could do that. So with friends that we had or people we connected with, we started doing that. Then from there it evolved. I had a book that was about to be launched. Like prior, I was writing a book. It was all done. It just wasn't edited or anything. So we're like, okay, that's the next product we can sell. Let's launch the book. It's not completed yet with editing and all that, but let's pre-launch it, right? Because that was something I learned. We can pre-launch a book, a course, a program. You don't have to wait until it's completed. Get the orders. So we did that. That helped us survive. We had like 100 copies sold. That helped us for another
100
couple
copies
months.
Sold in like 72 hours.
Wow.
And it was done because we had a trial. Like we had a ClickFunnels trial. It was 14 days. It took me 7 days to learn the entire process and design the book. And here it is, the actual physical copy, right? So it's like in 72 hours, we were able to not only pay for the next month for the subscription, but also stay afloat for the next couple of months. And not only that, we then learned a recurring pattern. Okay, so we learned a lot of, who is buying the book? Who are we connecting with? And what do they have in common? And what we noticed is there are coaches that have gotten certified, right, from life coaching school, but now they're stuck. They have this cute little diploma, it's all shiny, it makes sense, it kind of like justifies the fact that you learned something, but how are you going to sell your services now? How are you going to connect with people that don't know you? How are you going to make an impact? How are you going to make a difference?
Yeah. And so what we did is what we just did. We literally, we're big on selling stuff that we know works, and that we've proven for ourselves. Other than that, we can't sell it. Right. So because we got the success, we're like, okay, now we can teach other people to do the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. Who was it? We're author, have a book. Let's do it. Now let's help authors to then do the exact same process to launch their book. And then it became to what Isabel sharing of like the coaches, right? They don't have they don't know how to really get clients, but they have the certification. They're great at what they do, but they don't know. It's a different skill set to now do the marketing piece, which is what we've learned to do and are working on it. So we said, okay, let's focus on the activity for 3 months. Let's reach out to, let's say, 500 people a month. We were literally doing that every single day, writing it down on our glass window, and just stay consistent on the activity, which we know worked. Right, we got clients from that, and that's how our strategy continued to evolve now. Of course, we added some things and made it like smoother, more personal. And now we're helping coaches all over the world, different business owners all over the world we either provide the same service or we teach on how to exactly, if you have a product or service that, you know, you believe in, that you think is great, that you're just not getting enough phone calls with, you know, the right people, we've helped you understand what you need to do, cut the fluff out, because the social media provides like all this fluff out there that you need to do, and get right to what is needed to produce that income generating activities as well as those clients, you know. So that's how it came.
What is the name of your company?
Ivy Leads.
Yeah,
Ivy Leads
Can you spell
with a
that?
Z, right?
Z. So I for Isabel, V for Vanessa, and then Leads with a Z. It was first called Travel Mindset Go, because we had that's when we first lifted off to Asia. So we're like, let's create this vlog. That's how it started. And then we rebranded.
I think that's really inspiring what you guys are doing. You're not just, you know, telling everybody we have the answers because, you know, I went to a marketing class or, you know, I heard that this works. You guys are saying that we know what works because we've lived it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reason why we still utilize it for our own business today. Like, we don't do it like we're proof. Obviously, our results are proof, and now we've helped a lot.
And it's also recession proof. I mean, this whole COVID thing, like, it's a blessing for us, honestly, because we've hit crazy numbers, and our actual business coaches and executive coaches, the people that we're working with right now, they are getting the biggest results ever because of this crazy transition that the world is going through, right? So for us, it's like, okay, we're blessed to not only understand a process that works, not only for us, but we're now teaching like a lot of people the exact strategy, and they're building teams around that. So our vision is, and our mission, it's to help 1 million coaches, business owners by 2025. So 1 million by 2025. Right? So that's a big number, and there has to be a system in place for all that. So we have a team of over 30 people right now that we're leveraging, you know, for all of that. And it's just a powerful way to actually maximize online. You know, it's not no course that you can just like buy really quickly and now you become a guru.
Yeah, you have to put the work in.
You got to put in the work.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about your guys' story is you actually had to be innovative and figure it out. And I think a lot of people go, well, I went and got a degree or a certificate or whatever, and then it didn't magically happen.
Those are the ones that have failed in this pandemic. I'm sorry. But it's a blessing in disguise because all the people that have been talking, yada, 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 they've crumbled like that. And now it's clearing up. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
So last question. What is it that your partner does that you know they love you?
Oh.
What do I do?
Let me take out my list. Let's see.
For me, I think there's so many things. There's so many things that she constantly, it doesn't have to be necessarily in words. I know the 5 love language books, but it's like, you know, she listens, she just everything, right? I know for a fact, you know, the time is big for me. Words is big for, all of them are big for me, but you know, like I could just, I'm trying to think.
I'm listening.
You go.
Okay. So Vanessa's really good at showing you. You know, she's not about like, let's talk about it and like wish and pray about it. No. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to show you I'm going to do it. right? So if I say, you know what, I think I want a coffee, right? She's like, let's go do it. So she gets me out of my comfort zone. She's like, stop being lazy. If you want to get something, go do it. So the way she shows me that she loves me is every single day, it's an adventure. Every single day, I'm like, what's next? You know, it's never a dull moment. And for me, I need that to survive. Like, I itch when like a sale is on for a trip, like the flights are cheap. I'm like, let's take them all. Let's jump in a plane. I love that. And I feel like I'm always gliding through the clouds with her. So, yeah. You know.
Yeah, so I mean, there's countless amount of things. I just I mean, she shows me every single day, you know, with her words, with her actions, with her listening, with her changing if I mention something, and you know, so it's all the little things for me. It's a lot of the little things, and there's countless amount of things that she's done, and she does it every day. So.
That is wonderful. This is very beautiful, guys.
About you guys, I'm curious. Like, you guys are asking the questions, but I'm curious about you guys.
Wow. We've never had a guest ask the question
What's
back.
the question? The same question?
Absolutely. What is the same question?
We were in the hot seat on our podcast. So our episode that aired February 13th was us. And we were interviewed by friends and family. Right.
Nice.
So what I would say is that Ray is he's very careful with me. He's very kind and helps me navigate through, you know, some of the painful parts of my life. And you show up.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And very much like you guys, Jean is let's go do it, right? She is like this visionary, you know, in our relationship. And, you know, she supports me in what I want to do. Like if I have a feeling about trying something new, you know, she's the one to say, come on, let's go and do that, right? Yeah. And supporting, you know, just anything that I want to do. And that's really an awesome thing because I've never felt supported like that ever in my life. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we're going on 23 years now.
Wow.
Awesome. Jordan. Woo!
Wow.
Awesome. Jordan, you made me come up with one thing more specific because I feel like I was kind of general. But like I think I'm not easy to handle because I'm very like moving forward. You know, I'm very strong in what I believe. I'm strong in where I'm going, strong for my purpose, you know, what I feel inside. And I feel like she's always asking questions if she feels like, first of all, she's able to handle me and she hasn't ran, right? She hasn't like, oh, I can't handle this and I'm giving up. Like she's never given up. She's always tried to understand and ask questions of how we can come together and what's that. I think that's huge because I'm pretty like, you know.
Well, Vanessa sees a door, okay? And her first thing is like, let me run through the door, knock it down, make it work, it's gonna work. And I'm like, the knob, use the knob. Open the door, you know? So I think.
So do you get what I mean?
Absolutely. I love it. And honestly, I feel like I'm more like Ray and Jean, you know, you too. So yeah, going back to what you said about being supported, that's huge on its own. Honestly, like I might have this most ridiculous idea, you know, but she's like, let's do it. And she knows it's dumb. But I'm like, but she doesn't kill my dreams. Right. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of maybe couples suffer in. You know, I might say, I love green. And then you're like, green sucks. And then I'm like, shut down all of a sudden. And that deters you in so many different levels. You know, that over time it just doesn't make you move forward or progress.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I love this story about a man who wanted to visit heaven and hell. And he was brought down into hell, and he sees that there's this huge banquet table with all this food on it, and the people are surrounding this table. They're all starving. They're all thin, and they have these long forks, and they're trying to stab the food with their forks and trying to put it in their mouth, but it's so long that they can't get into their mouth. And then he's brought up into heaven, and he walks into the same kind of room, this room with a long table, so much food on it, but everyone that's surrounding the table are well fed, they're happy, they're enjoying each other's company, and he sees that they all have the same long forks. But he sees that when they want to feed themselves, they put the food on the fork and they feed the person across the table. Oh. And in that way, they are supporting each other and feeding each other. Right. And so I like that analogy when it comes to relationships, that when you're supporting each other, you're feeding each other's souls. And in that way, the relationship becomes even greater than the sum of its parts. And that's why we came up with the company name Couples Synergy.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Our assistant was like, "Are you guys going to couples therapy?" Francis was like, "What is this?" Like, he wanted to be like he's a very upfront type of guy, and he's just like, "Should I be worried? Like, what's up?"
Really? I didn't even see that.
Yeah, he texted me directly.
Oh.
So it's usually me. Anyways, I absolutely love that story. And yeah, thank you for sharing.
Okay, cool.
Well, we love having you on the podcast. Isabel and Vanessa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us and asking. I'm not sure why many other people would say no, but that's interesting to hear, but we're glad, that you asked. So
just the simple fact that you guys have decorated your basement and it looks like the best Zoom virtual background, which is real, that alone is amazing. Thank you so much, guys.
People have been sharing their stories since the beginning of time to grow and heal and bond. And we hope that by you guys sharing your story, it's enriched your lives and the lives of our listeners.
Amen.
I want to wholeheartedly thank all of you for joining us today and for listening to Couple Synergy. Our passion is in helping couples and people have happy and healthy relationships. And this podcast gives us a fun way of bringing our knowledge and expertise to you, our listeners. For all of you listening, please subscribe to our podcast and please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you have any questions, comments, or topic suggestions, please email us at contact@couplesynergy.com. For more information about Couple Synergy and our programs such as Relationship 101, the Couples Weekend Intensive, and our premier program called Couple to Couple, look us up online at couplesynergy.com. Until next time, synergize your life and synergize your love.
You have been listening to Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean Kadkodian. Couple Synergy was recorded, edited, and produced by Dr. Ray and Jean Kadkodian. Voiceover and music entitled Breathe and Let Go was recorded and composed by Gina Gonzalez.